is how superior HR technology can drive experience, productivity, and performance. So, in brief, what we'll try to cover are some technical and practical aspects of how modern HCM can create and augment business objectives. So, here's what we'll cover. What are some of the biggest challenges that organizations are facing with traditional HCM systems? What are some of the critical elements of new age HCM systems that is creating exceptional experiences? How can organizations transition from traditional to new age HCM? And what does that step by step roadmap look like? And what is the business impact of this transition? So, joining us today is Prakash Rao, who is the founding member, Vice President HCM at PeopleStrong. And with over a rich experience of 16 years, Prakash has an expertise in the field of HR shared services, and he's led tech implementation of HR and recruitment shared services for clients across industries. And he manages some of the top customers at PeopleStrong. Our partner for today's webcast is PeopleStrong. Since 2005, the company has offered cutting-edge technology solutions in the space of recruitment, employee lifecycle management, payroll, compliance, and analytics. With over 175 customers and 500,000 users, it's a brand that's known for innovation. And PeopleStrong has many firsts to its name. The recent one is its India native HR app, which aims at tackling the future of work. So we have saved time for you to ask questions at the end of this webcast. For those of you who are joining us live, you can simply submit your questions at any time during the session. We will try to respond to as many questions as time allows. So we have an exciting topic to discuss today. And without any further ado, let me invite Prakash to take over. Over to you, Prakash.
Thanks, Jerry. Good morning, everyone. Let me quickly share my screen and then we will be good to go. Okay, hope you guys are able to see the screen. Good morning, everyone. My name is Prakash Rao, and we have an exciting topic to discuss with you today. We're here to talk about how does HR tech that matters drive experience, productivity, and performance, right? So I'm going to ensure that I'm very brief about this, and we will discuss. I'll leave enough time for you to ask questions. So the first thing I wanted to ask you guys is that, do you know what is the HR tech that matters? Because when HR tech implemented absolutely correct, and if it is implemented and if it is getting used and adopted by your employees, it can improve your employee experience by almost 50%. Surveys have showed that employees where they're using a very advanced HR tech, the employee experience survey scores and the pride of working in that organization also increases. Second is, it can increase the daily productive time of an employee by almost 15%. Now, people could question as to how can an HR technology application increase employees' productivity. So we're going to discuss that also in detail today and present some case studies of how HR tech that matters can help improve employee productivity as well. And of course, the last is, of course, the HR team themselves. How do we ensure that their performance is increasing? Because in a day and age where there is so much of automation and robotics coming in, what kind of a role does HR play? How do they keep themselves agile, relevant, and increase their own performance? That's where even HR tech can play a key role as well. So these are three things that we're going to talk about today, right? So now, when you think of HR tech, when you go and ask any of the CHROs, the CEOs, or the CXOs, or the HR team themselves, the first thing they would say when we ask them is, what is the most key element of your entire HR end-to-end activities that you want to take on technology? The answer might come as, I think talent management is extremely important. Let's put talent management on HR tech. Some would say L&OD, right? Can we put a complete learning on learning platform so that learning becomes easy? Some might say, well, let's have a performance system, continuous feedback system, feedback which can be done on a daily basis so that we can ensure that we're building an organization of meritocracy. These are things people would say is on top of their agenda when it comes to HR tech. So we went ahead and we asked CHROs, CFOs, and CEOs, if this is what you're saying, where are you putting your money? Because if this is what we're talking, are we putting our money on what we're talking about? So we wanted to check. When we did a check, what we realized was that only three modules in entire HR tech is where people spend 70% of their money. Okay, so there's three modules where people spend 70% of their HR technology budget. Now, do you guys want to take a guess what these three modules are? Okay, let me surprise you guys. It is core HR, payroll, and workforce management. I'm sure some of you would be really surprised by this, but this forms the base on which HR tech completely gets built. This is the HR tech that matters. And I will share some case studies with you in terms of how this enables HR teams to improve employee productivity, improve their own performance, and of course, all of this resulting in an enhanced employee experience as well. Now, while we're saying 70% of the money gets put on these three modules, we are nowhere saying the rest of the modules are not important. Of course, performance management, talent management, learning and OD, these are extremely important, recruitment, all of these are extremely important modules as well. But then what we realized is when an organization has the foundation absolutely intact, they've got the core modules in place on HR technology, and if they're working optimally, then all the other modules that you build on top of it can really enhance your employee experience, your productivity, and performance as well. But if these three core modules are not in place, or if you don't have optimal working solutions here, that's where whatever you build on top of it, even if you get a new age talent management system, it might not enable you, right? Now, I'll take just a couple of examples and move on to these three modules. Let me take an example of what I just said. Imagine you're trying to make a performance system wherein you want to build a continuous feedback. The primary aspect of continuous feedback is if, let's say, a person is working on a specific project, a person with whom the business leader with whom he's working on the project, he should be able to give him feedback on that project. The project team members should be able to give feedback to that specific person, and the person's L1 and L2, the manager, should be able to give feedback. Imagine if this is the kind of ecosystem you're building on which people have to give feedback, but these people are not mapped in your system accurately. If your org master is not set up as part of core HR, which can drive all of this, then that feedback system will not work. Right? That's just an example of why I'm saying that this is the HR tech that matters. Right? Now let's get in and let's look at some case studies. Right? Okay. So, like I said, 70% is workforce management, payroll, and core HR. And like I said, HR tech people spent here. And here's how it works. And this is what people are doing in these three areas. What are core HR? Core HR is where you completely get your org master in place. You run your complete employee life cycle on this org master. You set your rule engine. You set all the rules, your policies, your procedures on top of this core HR. Let me take an example. If you have a policy which states that a notice period for a person and in this grade should be 60 days, in this grade should be 90 days, in this grade should be 30 days, those rule engines are part of core HR. And some of the key challenges that people place in core HR is diverse entities. You would have multiple legal entities, and some of your policies and procedures might be different for different legal entities. So how do you address that challenge? Second is multiple data systems. So because you've got separate legal entities, if any organization has grown by mergers and acquisitions, excuse me, each of those organizations would have a different system. How do you integrate them? Third is distributed workforce. You've got workforce across the countries sitting in multiple locations. How do we ensure that all of them are putting data in the right format? Last one is no single view of truth. Can all of this data come in one place, which results in a simple reporting dashboards, which can be real time, which can make sense? These are the key challenges that core HR can take care of us, right? Now, I'm going to take you through a case study in terms of how building a proper core HR helped one of our client organization. So we're working with one of the largest financial services groups of India. It's one of the top recognized names in the country as well. They've got around 14,000 employees. They've got around 600 various branches across India. These 600 branches are spread across close to 200 different cities in India, right across the country. They've got diverse workforce. They've got certain businesses which has been working for the last 18 years. They've got certain businesses which have come up over the last couple of years, depending on how the world is changing. So they've got an extremely diverse workforce in terms of age. They've got a diverse workforce in terms of the complete portfolio that they sell to their customers. They're extremely diverse, from insurance to mutual funds to health benefits, right? Then they've got 10 plus data systems because of the fact that some of these entities had got their own kind of systems working. They'd got 10 plus different data systems. What this did was that when the HR had to do any kind of, if there's a CEO review, and the HR had said, okay, get me data together, get me some demographics, put some data together and show it to me, that was a nightmare for the HR team. The HR team had to run around for almost 15 days, 20 days to get the data together. And out of this end of this 15, 20 days, they would give the data to the HR leader and they would say, okay, please take this with a 5% variation, right? I'm not sure how many of you on the call can actually relate to this, but this is a common problem. Whenever HR leaders come and say, give me data, the HR team starts shaking, right? And like I said, the other major complexity here was the legal entities. They had 12 different legal entities, each legal entity wanting to do things in their own manner, wanting to have different policies and different procedures. This was the complexity that this organization had. What is the solution we did? We got in People Strong, where we ensured that all the complete core HR modules of onboarding to exit with the complete HRIS. When I say HRIS, it means the core HR, which is your org master, your rules, your policies, your procedures, your employee data, your HR data, your compensation data. All of that sits in HRIS. Then employee life cycle, wherein an employee transfer, an employee confirmation, an employee promotion works on employee life cycle. There is onboarding, where an employee, the moment he becomes from a candidate to a prospective hire, he gets onto the system, he gets hired on a system. And then, of course, the payroll part of it, which is if the person's salary or any money going out to the employee got put onto one system. And we also put exit onto the system as well. So if an employee is leaving, it gets onto this system. So this end-to-end solution from O to X, onboarding to exit, the way we call it, with HRIS at the core, and also having a help desk module. So what this enabled was, if an employee had any query, he could go and he could ask a question, he would get a revert back. All of this was put onto a core HR, which was just one system, which is People Strong Alt. What this did was that it reduced the transaction time by 50%. What do I mean by transaction time? So earlier what was happening was, if a person was getting onboarded, it would take the organization almost close to 3 days to completely generate the employee code, create the employee file, give him access to all the systems and systems and other infrastructure he needs to start becoming productive. So HR team in the right manner were taking 3 days to hand over the employee to the business and the training team for him to become productive. What we did was, post implementation, that's come down to 1 day. At the end of day one, the employee is done with all the infrastructure he needs. He's done with all his joining formalities. He's handed over to the training team, or the operations team is complete, and he can start becoming productive from day one. That's how the transaction time got reduced. Here what we did was, we ensured that whoever employee is joining through the onboarding module, the employee is uploading his documents on an online system. So on date of joining, when he's coming, all his documents are already on the system. He's already filled up all the details that's required to fill up. The HR team is taking a printout, validating the information that he's putting, asking the employee to validate it once more. Once he's good to go, they're asking him to put his signatures, and he's done. This takes hardly half an hour, 45 minutes from the time his induction starts in the morning. Vis-a-vis, think of a situation where an employee is walking in, you're giving him a booklet, the employee is sitting in your office and filling up that booklet, and he's taking almost close to 2 to 3 hours to fill that booklet. There's 2 or 3 people, if it's a large workforce sitting there, who helping the employee fill the booklet. The employee makes an error in the booklet, somebody is correcting it, all of those things are taken away. So that's how you're reducing the transaction time. Second is in terms of confirmation. When an employee, there's a confirmation process, which in itself is becoming obsolete. These days, people are getting away with the confirmation process itself. But if you do have a confirmation process, typically what would be happening is, if it's a confirmation process that ends on 180 days, on the 180th day, the employee is still not sure whether it's getting confirmed or not, because the line manager has still not started the process. The HR then starts following up with the line manager, please complete the confirmation process. Then you send him a form, the line manager fills up the form, then he gives it to HR, then HR does the confirmation. It would almost be 200 days by the time this happens. Ideally, this should happen by the 180th day. Imagine a scenario on the 160th day or the 150th day, the line manager gets a trigger on the system that this employee needs to get confirmed. Here's the performance system. Here's the 5 things that you need to rate this person on, fill up this survey, and either confirm the employee or extend the person's confirmation. And if the line manager is not doing it, every 3rd or 4th day, he's getting a reminder. 180 minus 15, which is 165th day, there is a reminder that's going to him along with the L2 manager being in CC, saying that please do this. If you don't do this, on the 179th day, we will automatically confirm the employee. On the 179th day, manager has not done it, then the employee gets auto-confirmed. He gets an email. On the 180th day, the employee gets an email with the line manager getting copied saying, congratulations, you've been confirmed. And here, not even a single HR person's time is going here. There's no follow-up. There is no printing of letters. There's no issuing of letters. The HR technology is completely managing it completely end-to-end, right? This is how the HR team's productivity is getting improved, because now you're not spending time on doing confirmation. If we're doing onboarding, the employee is doing everything through self-service. So your time is only required for the first 1 hour and to follow up if the employee's documents are not there. Employee needs any kind of a bona fide letter. On the core module, you're putting all the bona fide letters through a digital signature or through a self-generated letter employee is generating. He's not taking your time there. Even in an exit module, the complete NDC is on the system. The employee, after he resigns, if it gets approved by the manager, 10 days before the person's last working day, NDC gets triggered. All the NDC stakeholders are automatically covered. There is a follow-up that happens with them automatically. Employee is also kept informed so that his NDC gets completed. So you're not following up for any NDC kind of work. Your complete org hierarchy is there in the system. The moment a person is getting transferred from one entity to another, the receiving HRBP, moment he accepts the transfer, the complete system, the complete org hierarchy changes, and employee automatically gets a letter. So there is no need for a person to go start making changes in the system. Employee needs to update his details. I need to update my address, I need to update my phone number. Self-service module, he has access, he goes, he makes a change. Imagine this scenario where all of these transactions, mundane transactions, which take a lot of the time of the HR team, their product, that's completely taken away. 40 to 50% of your complete HR transactions are taken off completely. This ensures that then the HR team is actually spending time on doing data analytics. They're able to talk to business leaders and work on employee engagement, right? And the most important thing here was that with 14,000 people, 12 different business units, 200 locations, 400 branches, we were able to give a single view of data. An HR team, in an HR operations team, or HR shared service leader, or a CHRO sitting in one central location on a click of a button were able to look at the complete employee data in one place, including some key dashboards in terms of how many exits have happened, how many people have onboarded, what is my demographics looking like, what is my demographics looking like business by business unit, by location, some key dashboards and key reports which give a single view and which is real time. When I say real time, it's a lag of 24 hours. That's it. So data as on 12 midnight of 29th, I'm able to look at that as we speak right now. So my HR leader walked up to me saying, let's do a review. I want to look at the HR data. I just tell the HR leader, here's your ID and password, system's configured for you, log in, you get all the data. That's the level to which core HR can create an impact. And that's why we say this is the HR tech that matters. Now, I'm going to move to the next part of the module, which is workforce management. Now, what is workforce management? Workforce management typically is where you're managing the employee's time. The time includes his complete attendance and his complete leave. Now, this might seem very mundane, and you might think leave and attendance is very simple, basic. But then, how many of you are able to track how much effort that you're putting in managing employees' leave and attendance? Are you able to manage all your different work types completely? What do I mean by that is that is all your leave policies configured in the system to a manner where people in different locations have different leave types, different holiday calendars, different kind of leave types, can all of that get configured? Can their workflows be built in the system to ensure that leaves are getting approved completely in time? And if you've done all of this, have your employees adopted it? Is it easy to use? Do they have to log into a system in their office and do it? Or is it easily accessible on a mobile system where sitting at home I can completely put my leaves? Right? These are the kind of key challenges. There's one more key challenge I want to add, and a question I want to leave with all the HR folks out there is that, have you looked at data to see how many of your employees apply for leave post taking that leave? Or are they applying for that leave on the day they're on leave? Or are they applying for the leave before they go on leave? I'm asking this question because if you have a system which is easy to use, your data should tell you that people are not applying for leave post taking them. Only the aberrations here would be if an employee is on a sick leave when he's taking after he's coming back. Apart from that, all the leaves should either be put on the day or beforehand. If that's not happening, then your employees are not using and not adopting that system. You might have to take a look at that, right? Now let's see a case study in workforce management. So for workforce management, we had a world's leading food suppliers and services organization. They had around 3,000 employees. They're working completely pan-India. Now here what was happening was that they had a lot of ghost employees. What that means was that because of the fact that they had a lot of diverse workforce and because they have food supplies, I think there's a typo here. It's not 3,000, it's actually 30,000 employees. They have a lot of ghost employees. So imagine the people who serve food in pantry, the cleaners, these kind of employees, right? Now, 30,000 employees strong, where most of these people for this organization are deputed at client side. They're not in front of you. They're deputed at client side, and these guys are working in different kind of shifts. So a supervisor, one supervisor is managing around 50 employees, and he might only get to see 10 people in a specific day. The other 40, he might not get to see, he might not get to even talk to them. Some people might get onboarded, for whom he might not even know because of the sheer attrition that this industry sees. What this makes is that this brings in a lot of ghost employees. What do I mean by ghost employees is that somebody joined, he left the very same day, nobody was able to track it, he keeps getting his salary. There's no way to track the person's attendance because these people are sitting at client location. There is no simple way to completely track to see if their attendance is on time, if their leave is on time or not. This was the problem for this organization. What is the solution we did? Was that there was a 4-pronged solution we did. Number one, we put a rostering solution. What the rostering solution did was that the employees were given 3 kinds of systems to log in their attendance. Number one, in each of the client location, with the help of the client, we were able to give them access to a system. Now, all of the employees have mobile, right? And any person who can use WhatsApp can use our system also on this, can use our app also on their system, right? So if an employee is using WhatsApp, he can use PeopleStrong Alt app as well. They had an app which was geo-fenced. What is geo-fenced? Is that when they went to the client location, we were tagging the longitude and latitude of the client in this one. The moment that person walks into a client location, within 10 meters of that longitude and latitude, the mobile app gets enabled. He's able to mark his attendance. Even if he's Away from the 10 meters, it doesn't get enabled. He's able to mark his attendance and he's able to mark his in time and out time through that system. Second set of people, they wanted us to geotag. These were people, salespeople, who were moving from one place to another. They didn't have a single location they had to go to. Here the client requested, can you tag? Let them be able to log in from anywhere in India, but I want to know the address of the place where he's logging in from. So we geotagged these people. So whenever they logged in, they were able to log in anywhere, but the line manager was able to see the exact address where the person is logging in from and logging out. In the backend for all of this, we created a rostering solution, which a line manager was able to update on a weekly or a monthly or even a quarterly basis, update a roster. So the rosters be updated in the backend. People come in and say, I came in at this time and I went in at this time. Automatically, the system figures out and says, okay, this person was present, this person did half an hour less, this person did 15 minutes less, this person did half a day less, this person was completely absent. It gives a complete tagging like this to the complete line manager as well. Excuse me. Plus, also what we did was, we also gave access to line manager to be able to upload this attendance as well. So what we did was that we give access to a system where a line manager could go and he could also put pseudo attendance on behalf of his own set of team in terms of marking them absent or present or leave as well. Plus, we also give access to employees to mark their leaves on a mobile app and on a web system, which was very simple, very easy to use through 3 clicks. 3 clicks and the leave is applied. And the line manager gets an access to mark the leave on a mobile system as well. This solution, what it did was that it reduced the amount of revenue leakage, because for this customer, every person who was working at the client location, their salaries were being billed to this customer. So any person who was not there, and if they're billing it, and if the customer was contesting it later, it was reducing the revenue. So 5% of the employee cost was revenue shrinkage, which we completely reduced. So the ghost employees were completely removed. Any person who was not accessing the system for 3 days continuously, we were sending a notification to the line manager. He was able to talk to the person, talk to the customer to ensure that he's either marking the person absconding, or if the person was there, he was able to discipline the person to ensure he's marking his attendance. Employees did not have to spend a lot of time giving a lot of justifications to the line managers for leave and attendance. They had the complete leave and attendance on their own mobiles, in their own hands, which was completely easy to use, which also ensured that employees are doing their core job and not spending time on talking to the line manager in terms of marking their attendance or negotiating for leaves as well. This was completely managed on the system. And this is the impact that workforce management could create. And that's why we're saying that this is the HR tech that matters. Now, I'm going to go to the third part, which is payroll. Now, payroll is one area which has been outsourced and technology has been used there from a really long time. There were a lot of small CA firms which were doing it earlier. Now people are moving towards an integrated payroll system. What is an integrated payroll system? An integrated payroll system is one where all your input parameters are automatically getting integrated to payroll. Typically, how payroll is run in large organizations today is they've outsourced their payroll to a third-party vendor. And the third-party vendor tells the customer that, okay, here are my input files. Please provide your complete HR master, your CTC master, any changes, one-time inputs in terms of incentives or any advances or any payouts that you're doing. Give me all of this and give me your attendance and leave in this specific format. You give it to me in this format. I'll put it into my system, process, and give you the output, right? Now, if you're one of the organizations who's working like this, what you are doing is that you're putting a lot of effort in collating all those inputs, checking those inputs, ensuring they're completely accurate, and you're giving it in a specific format to your vendor. And all your vendor is doing is putting it into his system. And the system is just calculating it. So 50 to 60% of the effort of payroll is being done by the customer themselves, and only 40 to 50% is being done by the vendor. That's why we're saying an integrated payroll will ensure that your hassle of managing reimbursements, hassle of managing multiple inputs, hassle of getting into incorrect salary disbursement, and risk of legal liability is all getting taken care of. And let's look at a case study here as well. So we had a leading IT company with multi-billion-dollar revenue. They had around 10,000 employees, pan India as well, and they had the issue with payroll accuracy. They had two issues, in fact, to be honest with you, and both of them were related to employee payment. One was the reimbursement. When I say reimbursement, this was two kinds of reimbursements. One is reimbursements related to my CTC, which is flexi basket or flexi benefits, like the way people call it. Second was any kind of reimbursement which is outside my CTC. They had a lot of feet on street. When you have feet on street, and if they're traveling, the travel reimbursement. I spent some money at the customer location buying food, so any kind of food allowance. I traveled to a different city. So when I'm traveling to a different city, that per diem, that entire calculation, my mobile reimbursement, I spent some money on behalf of the organization. And if I'm spending it, when am I going to get that money back? That's the second kind of reimbursement, which is business-related expenditure, the way we call it. So that reimbursement and salary was an issue to this organization, right? And what was happening was that long reimbursement cycles. So if a feet on street was spending his money today, he was getting that money back to him on the 52nd day. That means if I'm spending 100 rupees today, it's taking almost 2 months for the organization to give it back to me. Because what was happening? I'm spending it today. I'm keeping that bill with me because I'm feet on street. I don't go to my office on a daily basis. I go once a week. When I go there, I'm taking up a form, filling it up, attaching that bill, putting it in a Dropbox. After I put it into a Dropbox, that person, because it's in a different location, somebody comes, collects it, couriers it, that goes to the client location once in 15 days. If it goes there once in 15 days, there is a team there which has to open that form, verify it. After they verify it, they take a week, 10 days to verify it. After they verify it, they come and give information back to the employee. Now imagine 30 days are over or 40 days are over, and the employee gets to hear that your bill is incorrect or you submitted incorrect bill. The employee submitted his bill, he spent the money, you're going and telling him on the 30th day the bill is incorrect. Now the entire cycle restarts for the employee. That's how it was working. And the feet on street were extremely upset and their employee satisfaction scores were extremely low. What did we do here was that we ensured that we put a technology platform. What this technology platform did was that we gave the complete reimbursement on a mobile application to the employee. What it did was, I'm an employee, I'm spending 100, I spent 60 rupees on, let's say, on auto or on food, or I bought something, I have the bill in my hand. The very same moment, I open the mobile app, I take a photo on the app, I submit the bill. The moment I submit the bill, it goes to my line manager. Within 1 day, the line manager has to approve. Otherwise, depending on the amount, it either gets auto-approved or the workflow gets pushed to the L2 manager. Let's assume it gets complete within 3 days. Let's assume the manager takes 3 days to approve. Third day, it's getting approved by the manager. Fourth day, it's going to the finance team. After 2 days, the finance team is taking all the dump of the entire thing. Automatically, a bank file gets created. On the 7th day, the bank file is getting credited back to the employee. So in a span of 7 days, this system is ensuring that whatever I'm spending as an employee is coming back to me. Right? Imagine just 7 days. That created a huge impact and a huge satisfaction scores for the HR team and the finance team really increased because of what we did here. Second was in terms of payroll. We automated all the various input sources. If you have a core system, the customer, this specific customer was using a large ERP, which is SAP. You be using SAP, you might be using Oracle, you might be using PeopleSoft or any other ERP. If you have a place where your entire employee code, employee information is resting, which is your HR master, and your compensation is resting, which is your CTC master, compensation master, we integrated directly from this specific source. So what happens is on the cutoff date, our system picks up all the complete HR master and the CTC master from that system. So that's coming completely automatically. Second was we gave an input module to the customer, and the input module, the customer extended that to all their specific business leaders. So any kind of one-time input or incentives that needed to be given, the HR leaders were uploading it into that input module. The HR team centrally, before the cutoff date, were able to download that report, validate it, if there's any issues, correct it, and then upload it back into the system. That flows back automatically back to us. The complete attendance and leave, because they were using PeopleStrong system, was completely integrated as is. If not, if there's a separate system, for example, one of our customers uses Kronos, we've done an integration directly with Kronos through which it flows in as well. So your leave and attendance is integrated, your one-time inputs are integrated, your HR master is integrated, your CTC master is integrated. And any changes that you're doing in your system, any person got transferred from one legal entity to another, a person is leaving, you mark the person as resigned. All of these changes are also coming through integration. So there is not a single thing that the HR team is providing manually. Your PAN information, your bank account information, your Aadhaar number, everything you're updating it in the system. We're picking it directly from the system. We're processing payroll on the click of a button. What this did was, earlier the customer team would start having 15th as a cutoff for payroll. By 15th, they would start collecting all the inputs. They were provided to their old vendor on the 22nd. From the 22nd, if they provided, the vendor would close and give back everything to them on the 29th with 2 or 3 various changes. Because of the fact that it's a manual input collation, vendor would provide first draft, customer would say, okay, first draft is fine, but I have these changes, do this. The vendor would do changes. Okay, another draft, please do these changes. There are multiple revisions which are happening. What we did was, with this integrated payroll system, they changed the cutoff to 25th. On the 25th, whatever is uploaded in the system, end of 25th, automatically flows into a payroll system. On the 26th, I'm generating the payroll, taking the day to validate. On the 27th, I'm giving it to the customer. The customer says yes. 28th, the file is ready. 29th, we're just paying out. That's how an integrated payroll can create an impact and make your payroll completely seamless, right? That is why we're saying that an integrated payroll can really enhance the productivity of your employees and your HR team as well. You can reduce your reimbursement cycle, you can increase your employee cycle, and finally, you can also look at FNF as well. If this organization were taking close to 70 days to pay from the time a person leaves to process FNF through an integrated payroll system, they were able to bring it down and make that payment within 40 days. 40 days still doesn't sound great. A lot of organizations do it on the last working day, but for a complex organization where they have a lot of feet on street, paying by the 40th day is also a very good scenario when almost 50% of your workforce is leaving on an annual basis. But a lot of customers use our system and are able to make a payment to the employee on the last working day as well, right? That's how workforce management can really, along with payroll, integrated payroll, can really make a difference. And that's why we're saying this is the HR tech that matters, right? So I've taken you through 3 modules, which is core HR, workforce management, and payroll management, integrated payroll. And we've spoken of why these 3 are the HR tech that completely matters. We've also spoken of how all of this is enhancing your productivity and your performance as well. Okay. Now I'm going to just look at I'm going to quickly run through a couple of more case studies, and then I'm going to open it out for questions from any one of you as well. Case 1, one of our BFSI player, after we integrated the core HR module, they were able to reduce their HR team size by 40%. Okay. So let me put it in a different manner. They didn't reduce their HR team, but they were around 7,000 employees when we implemented our system. Today, they're 13,000 employees, but the HR team has remained the same. They're able to do more value-added work because of having a core HR that really works. Case number 2, and a global enterprise in food and service industry, they were able to save 2%. That's the second case study we saw. The third case study, they were able to reduce their employee cost, and they were able to reduce their employee loss by almost 90% through integrated workforce management, right? These are case studies we saw. I'm also going to now look at how does an employee experience can be taken to the next level through a mobile app, right? So imagine a mobile app where you're able to have a simple chat interface which is easy to use, where you've got natural language processing. it's AI driven. Third, you're able to ensure that you give this to a customer who's able to use this at any given point of time. So there are two solutions we're talking about here. One is the mobile app, where you put some basic things for which an employee needs to come onto the system, like I want to look at my pay slips. Here it's on the mobile. I want to apply for leave. Here it's on the mobile. I want to mark attendance. Here it's on the mobile. I'm a line manager. I have to do multiple approvals of leave and attendance. Here it's on the mobile. I want to approve reimbursement. I want to claim, put reimbursement on the system and track it on the system. Here it's on the mobile. I have a question to my HR team. I want to ask them. Here it's on a mobile, right? Put all of this. So these are the basic things which an employer and the line manager needs to come to a HR system for. Put all of it on a mobile app and make their life simple. Once you do this, the second part of the system which can enhance employee experience is having a chatbot through which an employee can solve any of the questions or ask a question, and the chatbot is able to respond and give an answer. This is where your employees feel that they're working for an organization which is really cutting edge, and their pride of working in that organization really increases. The next stage, where is AI going to take? It's the next stage of this is we feel it's going to help us accumulate knowledge. Imagine a person says, he's a salesperson and he has a sales call with a BFSI client. He says, you know what? I want to talk to someone who can you help me with the BFSI client. So the AI says, okay, let me see. It goes and on the app, it broadcasts to all the employees that, hey, one of your colleagues wants to understand how to do a BFSI sales. Can any of you help? If you help, I'll give you certain points which you can redeem later. One lady says, yeah, I want to do that. I have some information. So it's okay. Let me connect you to the person. Then it connects the person who needs the information and the person who has the information within the same organization. They can collaborate with each other and they can ensure there's knowledge sharing happening. That's the next level to which AI can help accumulate knowledge and enhance employee experience as well. So what you're doing here is you're ensuring that all the tacit knowledge which is there in the organization is getting used appropriately, and there are people who are able to talk to each other, and you're putting everybody on one single platform, right? So this is what I wanted to share with all of you. We've spoken of multiple case studies. So what we started off with was, we said, what is the HR tech that matters? We said there are 3 modules which 70% of where the HR tech cost is going towards, which is core HR, payroll, integrated workforce management. We spoke of case studies in all of these 3 areas, and we spoke of how this can really ensure that your employee productivity is getting increased, your own HR team's performance is getting enhanced. Third, employees' experience is getting enhanced as well, right? Hope these case studies were relevant and you were able to make sense out of this. Now I'm going to stop here, pause, and open it out for your questions.
Right. Thank you so much, Prakash, for that comprehensive overview of HR tech that matters. We have a bunch of questions pouring in, and I'm going to try to cluster some of these together. So let's see. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go with Samina's question around integrated payroll. So she asks, in terms of data confidentiality of employee data, and even in the context of GDPR, what steps are being taken to address data confidentiality?
Sure. Great question, Samina.
So before you start, can you stop sharing the screen? I think you would appear on the screen.
Yeah. Is that
right? That's perfect.
Great. So great question, Samina. I think when it comes to data confidentiality, there are 3 things. One is, if I talk about PeopleStrong, we're the only HR organization in Asia who got data at rest encrypted as well. So what do I mean by that? So typically what large ERPs or any HR player does is, when data is moving from one system to another, they encrypt that data to ensure that nobody is able to decode that. But the data, once it reaches the the vendor's system, then it's called as data at rest. We've also encrypted that data as well. So what encryption does is, if any third party wants to get into our system, that's completely they can't get into that system. So even if a hacker tries to get in, they can't do that. One. Second is, all organizations, including PeopleStrong, we've got we've got SSA 18 certification as well. Through SSA 18 certification, what we're doing is we're ensuring our physical security, our online security, our people security is completely taken care of. We do things like our teams do not have access to copy data and paste data anywhere. They don't have access to forward the data anywhere, because when you have integrated payroll management, everything is flowing from one system to another directly. There is no exchange of Excel sheets. That completely eliminates any case of person misusing it and forwarding it to somebody else. So that's the data confidentiality part, where encryption and audits and IT security audits ensure that your data is completely confidential. That's number one. And this is the basis of everything, because this builds trust. If data confidentiality is breached, then everything, anything else doesn't matter. When it comes to GDPR, there are certain aspects of GDPR in terms of privacy, which we are implementing as well, which we implemented because it's gone live on the 25th of May. What we're doing is that we're ensuring that any kind of privacy, any customer for whom there are employers who are based out of Europe, for whom GDPR applies, there we are completely ensuring that the employee's information is safe. The settings, the employee is choosing what information stays with the organization, doesn't stay with the organization, is what we're doing for the set of employees who are based out of Europe. For Indian employees, GDPR is still not, it doesn't, it's not applied to Indian employees because the Indian government has not adopted any such policy as such. But what we've done is we've ensured that we've discussed with each of our client in terms of what's the privacy settings that they want for their employees, and we're implementing whatever the customer wants us to implement internally for their Indian employees. So your data is completely safe, your privacy is maintained as well, it's GDPR compliant for your Europe employees as well.
Right, fantastic. We have a question from Ajita, and I think this is a question on payroll, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this integrated with the tax calculator, and is this employer friendly? I think this is a question directed at that payroll solution, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, it is. So yes, absolutely. This is completely integrated with the tax part as well. So when all the data flows into the system automatically calculates the absolute perfect tax that the person needs to pay. Number one. Number two, it also gives on the front end to the employee two things. It gives one system where they can put the investments as well to see, what is the investment I want to put. And there's a tax simulator as well. On the tax simulator, an employee can play around. Okay, if I invest this in this much, will that reduce my tax burden, increase my tax burden? What should I invest where to be able to arrive at a specific take home, including tax, is what a person can play around in a tax simulator as well. Once he arrives at the right figure, he can put that into the investment declaration, and the system automatically ensures that that gets managed. And towards the end of the year, of course, on the system, the person, whatever he's declared, he submits those bills, it comes, it gets validated, and the employee's tax is completely deposited to the authorities automatically as well. And then, of course, end of the year, a Form 16 is given, which is a proof of what you invested and what tax has been deducted.
Right, fantastic. So I think your response to GDPR answered one of the other questions about your support globally. So I think that answers it. There's a related question that Anushri asked, which is about how do I make sure that HCM systems that I'm using manages a global workforce and also provides a localized approach. So what are some key features that you need to look at in a HCM system?
Okay, so I'm smiling, Anushri, because it's one huge challenge that most HR teams face. Because when you have a system which is global, if you're trying to implement HR technology for multiple countries, your challenge is a very different one. Because if I just talk about India, the amount of so there are a lot of state and central governance, central compliances that you need to adhere to. And when you're trying to implement a system which has Indian central and state compliances taken care of, you go to Europe, there's GDPR, you go to US, there's different compliance kind of a system. One system giving you all of this completely will be extremely tough, right? Your best way of managing this is having a couple of players who can
Hello?
Indian entity is what we take care of. The other entities across the globe is taken care of by two other partners who've got specific solutions to that geography. So that's your answer. There is no one single player across the globe can implement an HCM which will ensure that your local compliance is also taken care of. You will have to look at separate players, and then you can ask those players to partner with themselves so you get one single integrated view.
Right, right. Fantastic. So there's a question from Ashu, and she asks, she wants to know more about the AI tool chatbot that you probably mentioned. Could you elaborate on that, and how do you do knowledge sharing using an AI tool, which is a chatbot?
Sure. So the AI tool internally is called Genie. So I'm going to start calling it Genie. So Genie is what we've called it. What Genie does is, what we've done is Genie basically plays the role of a collaborator or an integrator for knowledge, for accumulating knowledge, right? So what we've done is there are certain people. So we've got certain courses on the system. So people take those courses. Anybody who scores a specific score in the assessment, they are tagged as experts in a specific field. Or if somebody has a performance level of certain level and above, they're tagged as experts in a specific field. So what it does is, let's say I'm an expert in, let's say, HR. Okay, there's a new person who's joined somewhere in our Bangalore team. The person, when he comes in, he says, okay, I need to understand something in onboarding. I have to go meet a customer. I'm not sure how an onboarding process works. Can somebody please help me? Is what they have to type. What Genie does is then it brings to all it's created a group called experts in HCM, in HR. I'm one of it. It comes and it broadcasts the message saying, okay, there's a person called Rishabh, for example, in Bangalore who's joined, and he has a question on onboarding. Can any one of you help? If you help, we also include gamification by saying you get this much points. You accumulate this, you get Amazon voucher. So I say, okay, great. I have some time. I'm okay to help. I say, okay. Then what it does is it opens a chat interface. It connects Rishabh and me and saying, hey, Rishabh, here's Prakash. He's an expert in onboarding. He can answer your question. Then Rishabh and me are chatting to each other and answering our questions. So it's just bringing two people together on a platform to ensure that knowledge sharing happens is how we've enabled that part of knowledge sharing. Plus, of course, it also asks me from time to time to to record certain courses as well on the system. So when I record those courses, it's also available on the system. If somebody asks, it can also just pass on that course online to the person as well, rather than connecting. So that's the second way of how we're accumulating knowledge as well through Genie.
All right. Okay. Great. So let's go on to the next question. We have a question from Alok, and this is a question about how does, okay. So technology works well when you adopt fully across the organization, like I think some of your case studies also pointed out. But how do you address this adoption throughout? I mean, there's a change in behavior with employees that I think that needs to be brought through. So his question is about that. When adopted fully by employees, how do you drive that?
Sure. So when it comes to adoption, the best way to get a system to be adopted by employees is that if you have no training, right? So what do you do for adoption? You have large training courses. You go there, you do webinars, you get employees to come in and you train them, right? Imagine why you're doing that training. You're doing that training because you built a system. You want your employees to know how this process works, how does it work, where to go, what to do what, right? That's why you're training an employee, and then you expect the employee to log into a system.
Right.
Now, imagine if you open a bank account, does any of the bank person comes and trains you on how to use their net banking or their mobile app? They don't train you. You're using that system, right? We didn't get trained on how to use Facebook. We didn't get trained on how to use Twitter. We were able to use it because they were very easy to use, intuitive systems. What I'm saying is, build a system which is intuitive, which is easy to use on the mobile platform, which an employee can access. If you're able to do that, employees will start adopting it automatically. It should be whatever you do, employee should not be making more than 3 clicks to arrive at what he wants to arrive. If he's getting to a 4th click, then the system fails because the employee starts feeling it's complicated. So how do you make it easy and intuitive?
Yeah.
And your real test is, can I launch it and not do training? Will the employees adopt? That's the best manner. And here, sometimes what happens is you get stuck between I have to comply for a specific guideline and do I look at experience. You take it's a very thin line between compliance and experience. You'll have to play that role very well to ensure that you're not putting too much of compliances in the system and making it heavy for an employee. Make it easy and intuitive. They will come onto the system for sure.
Right. Okay, great. So we have a question on on-premise versus cloud. Which is better for HCM? Want to address that?
So honestly, on-prem solutions are already a thing of the past. The only way an on-prem solution worked is because you were able to use a lot of customized solutions. You can tweak that system and turn that system and tweak and turn and tweak and turn to ensure that it looks the way you want it to look. That's the advantage of having an on-prem. But the disadvantage of that is you tweaked and turned and you made it look in a specific fashion today. 1 year down the line, the government changes certain rules. Income tax guidelines have changed. It changes every year, in fact. Now, tweak and turn again. That cost of tweaking and turning year on year is extremely high. So, and then if the organization of an on-prem moves to a different kind of a version, then you have to do a version change and upgrade change. So this is a very cost-effective and a heavy system. When you move to on-cloud solutions, you get 3 advantages. One, change is extremely easy. So what the vendor does is whatever changes which is happening by a government, they do it automatically. You don't get charged for it. Number 2, the specific vendor like PeopleStrong, we do a quarterly upgrade. I do a quarterly upgrade where I bring in a lot of best practice. This best practice, let's say customer A wants this best practice, that gets implemented across all my 170 customers automatically without any extra charge. I come up with a mobile app, a new solution in a mobile app that gets implemented across everybody. The second thing is upgrades are free of cost. Third, it's far more cost effective to have on cloud than on-prem. On-prem, honestly, is a thing of the past now. On cloud is where is the future for sure. So all AI and mobile app will only come on if you move to a on cloud kind of a solution.
Got you. Great. There's a question on how is AI and machine learning applied in HCM. Now, of course, you spoke about the chatbot feature. I think that's related to this. How else would you like to?
Sure. So AI, AI, honestly, a chatbot is converting all of HR transactions into a conversation mode. Okay. Let me explain how that does in HCM, in HR operations. If I take examples, let's say if the confirmation process I spoke of, imagine a confirmation process where today a line manager is getting a notification on an email to do the confirmation process. On a chatbot, what happens is Genie sends like a WhatsApp kind of a notification on a messenger, says, "Hey Prakash, you've got person A who needs to get confirmed. Do you want to do it right now?" If you say yes, it will open the system and say, "Okay, why don't you do it right now?" So it's making transactions, it's taking transactions to conversational. So every single HR transaction can be converted, can be done in a conversational manager with the line manager. Number 2, with an employee, on the beginning of the month, it comes and says, "Hey, Prakash, your salary has been processed. You've got 1,000 rupees. This is 100 rupees less from last month. The reason for this 100 rupees deduction is you forgot to mark your attendance on the 17th. Please, you want to regularize this right now?" You click yes. Gets done. It says, "Okay, this 100 rupees will be credited to you along with your next month's salary." Yeah. Conversation. That's how chatbots are, helping in HR solutions as well.
Okay, great, fantastic. So we're short of time, so I'm going to request Prakash to take up the other questions offline. So do continue to send us, and thank you for joining us today. We'd like to thank our webcast partner, PeopleStrong, and Prakash for sharing invaluable information with our audience today. You can provide your feedback in a survey link in the chat section. It will help us improve these webcasts. Stay tuned for more such exciting sessions, and that concludes the webcast today. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Joey, and thank you everyone. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.